Okay, so this is the strategy to answer the first part of section 2 of the TOEFL test, which is fill in the blank questions. Okay, so it means that there will be a sentence, right? Okay, for every problem, and then there is some part of the sentence that is missing, and then you will have to choose between the options which is the correct one. Okay, and then the strategies that we can apply. Okay, they are, at least this is some key strategies, tricks that we can use to answer these types of questions. Okay, so the first, we have to make sure that every sentence must have subject and verb. Okay, because every English sentence must have subject and verb. So the rule number 2 is make sure that there is at least one subject and one verb. Okay, and then every verb must agree with the subject. Okay, yeah, it relates to the subject verb agreement. Okay, and then be careful with the connectors to determine whether it is simple sentence or a complex sentence, and also the form of adjective clause. And then there must be another verb when there is a connector. So this is also another key to determine the subject and the verb of the sentence. So this is the first strategy, right? As you can see the example here, right? In ancient Rome, had absolute authority over his children. If we break down this sentence, in ancient Rome, this is the adverb, and then had absolute, had, this one is the verb. So it means the subject is missing here because the subject comes before the verb, but there is no subject here. So it means we need to supply the subject in the sentence. Okay, so to make it correct, so the sentence should be in ancient Rome, parents, or maybe a father or a mother, depending on the sentence, the context of the sentence, had absolute authority over his children. Okay, so now the sentence is correct. Okay, the second sentence, the second example, here as you can see, the number of victims of the 2004 tsunami in Indonesia. So this is a verb, right? Sorry, this is a subject. So many is complement. So what's missing here is the verb. The verb is missing. The number of victims of the 2000 tsunami in Indonesia is the subject. So the verb is missing. So yeah, and then to make it correct, we need to supply the verb. Okay, and then to determine what verb that is the correct one, we have to look at the subject itself. The number of victims of the 2004 tsunami. The number, it means it is singular. So we need to supply either is or was, since there is 2004, so it means it is past tense. So the correct answer should be was. So the correct sentence is the number of victims of the 2004 tsunami in Indonesia was so many. The sample problem that we can find in the TOEFL test is like this, as you can see. In simple animals, okay, blah blah blah, reflex movement or voluntary response to stimuli. In simple animals, okay, as you can see, there is no subject and verb in this sentence. Okay, yeah, so you need to find which answer that contains subject and verb. Okay, the first option, A, behavior mostly. Behavior is the subject, so there is no verb, so it means it is incorrect. Sentence B, there is subject, behavior, and also there is a verb, but the verb comes before the subject, so it is in the wrong order. Okay, because the verb must come after the subject, or the subject comes before the verb. And then option C, most behavior is. Okay, so here we have subject and we also have the verb, and they come in the correct order, so they are correct. Well, option D here, the most behavior, it is a subject. but it doesn't have a verb, so it means there is no verb, so this is also incorrect. Okay, and then next, the strategy number two, make sure that there is at least one subject and a verb. And in this example here, we already have a verb here. It means there is no word that comes after the verb. It means there is no subject. And from the options here, we can find that option A is the only noun. So it means this is the best answer. This is the correct answer because it is a subject. Okay, and then B is not a noun. Okay, yeah. And then C and D, they are also not noun either. Okay, and then this one, 10,000s of Maurice, it shows a subject here, right? Okay, and then between, so it's not a verb, so it means this sentence doesn't have a verb, so we need to supply the verb. So if we look at the answer here, A, when died, it's not a verb, it's a clause, right? Okay, and then they died, it already has subject, so we don't need subject anymore. And then dying is an adjective, and the only verb is died, so that's why the correct answer here is died. Okay, and then let's move to strategy number three. The verb must agree with the subject. We already know we have to see the verb, okay, and we also look at the subject. Okay, whether the subject is plural or singular will determine the form of the verbs. Okay, and also don't forget to look at the tenses here. Like example here, wastewater from the factories. So, okay, this is prepositional phrase, so it means that the real subject is actually the wastewater here, and water is uncountable, so it is singular. Okay, and the verb that shows singular is A, pours into, and B and C, they are not verb, while D, it is a verb, but this is for plural, not for singular. Okay, that's why the best answer is A. And then we move to strategy, still number three, right? So if we look at this, people of Hispanic background, people, it means plural, so we have to choose which verb that is plural. Okay, from the four options here, have, which, have, has, and having. Okay, so the best answer is have because it is for plural, while B and D, they are not the correct answer. And C, okay, this is a verb, but this is for a singular noun. Okay, now strategy number four is be careful with connectors. As you can see, sentences contain of simple and also compound and complex. And for compound and complex, we need connectors. And for that, we have to be careful. Okay, in this one, the fact, blah, 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 the most important writing period is about, so it means we need to supply a connector here. Okay, yeah. So the best answer is that. Okay, why that? Ini jawabannya ada di berikutnya. Okay, yeah. Is there must be another verb when there is a connector. Okay, so when we talk about sentences, there are simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences. And to make compound and complex sentences, we need connectors. Okay, and in complex sentences, especially when there is a connector, it means there will be another clause. So when there is another clause, it means there will be another verb. This is what it means by there must be another verb when there is a connector. So when there is a connector, it means there are two verbs. If there are two connectors, so there will be three verbs. Sound like that. Okay, so when you see there is a connectors, it means we need another verb. There will be another verb there. Now look at this example. It is presumed that rules governing the sharing of food influenced that the earliest cultures evolved. We already have verb here. It is presumed, one, and we have connector, and then there will be another verb here, influence. Okay, and there is a connector here. It means another verb, evolve. So two connectors, three verbs. So that it means the sentence is already correct. Okay, so it means you don't need any connector, you don't need any verb anymore. Now look at the answer. That this is connector, so this is not the correct answer. Is, see, we already have complete sentence, complete verb, three verb. So that's why the best answer is C, because we need to supply an object here after the word influence. Okay, so the way is the correct one, and which is also another connector. So this is what it means by there must be another verb when there is a connector. So if there is one connector, there will be two verbs. Okay, yeah, those are strategies for the number 1 until number 15 of the section 2 of the TOEFL test.